if this information then comes out, that's going to be the only thing talked about. That's what they want, right? They want people to be distracted from these other Black Swan events. Because even when Trump a couple weeks ago he mentioned it, before they brought it out, when he mentioned it, he was like, "Yeah, I seen some things, and when we bring it out, you guys are going to have fun with it. It's definitely going to captivate your minds, and you're going to be, really astonished and captivated by this." He used that word captivate, and that's what they want. They want to have people's minds captivated on this because now that means that it could have them focus on this and not focus on everything else. But that's why the Lord and the Lord is so beautiful because He covered everything in the scriptures. So everything that happens, there's no type of surprise for us in the sense of what this devil is doing. Because what did Yahweh say in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter? He said that when they say these things, don't, basically, let me get it real quick. Matthew 24, verse 23, it says, "Then if any man say unto you, Lo, Mashiach, or the anointed, here is the anointed, or Mashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Mashiachims, or anointed ones, and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect." Okay, so using and I think I mentioned this in the video before. They've had all this information. I think they said since 1947, which is very ironic. The year before they established the state of 48ers, that they had all this information, but they wait until now to quote unquote disclose it when they have deepfake technology, where they have AI, where they have all these other things that could make the deception more believable. Because they didn't have that type of technology back then to do so. So these things, and a lot of people obviously get their information now from social media, from the internet. So they could just put out a lot of fake Trump fake news. And it showed you that in what was that in The Boys, one of the episodes of the new season, where they were wanted to push a narrative. So the government, which Homelander was, basically the ruler over, they used AI to basically push a narrative that was favorable for them. And although you hear Trump and these people speak about fake news, fake news, fake news, they're going to be using these technology this technology, as it says in Second Thessalonian, to make people believe a lie. And they're going to believe this lie because they didn't want to receive the love of the truth. And it's because ultimately the Lord has them blinded, right? The truth, the Lord is not worried and concerned about who is giving the truth or who is bringing the truth. It's if it's true or not. That's why He put us low. That's why He made us, nobodies, because only those that actually hear His voice are going to understand it, and they're not going to care about who it's coming from. But the majority of this world, right, as it says in the book of Sirach, if a rich man says something, they esteem it high. But if a poor man says something, they discredit it. But that's how the Lord set it up. He didn't give this to the wise and the prudent, but He gave it unto babes, as it was seemed so unto the Father. Right. So go back to verse 25 in Matthew 24. It says, "Behold, I have told you before." And that's once again the beauty of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, that He's told us these things before they happen. So we're not over here astonished and amazed, even with the Epstein stuff, right? Everybody was so, endowed with that and trying to go there. We wasn't, oh man, that's crazy. No, we knew this was what they were doing. As a matter of fact, they do even more insidious and odious things that are being shown. You see? But even that small information that came out, people were so captivated by it. Okay. But the Lord told us these things before it happened, so it's not a surprise to us. Like I said before, this is the final act, like a script. Then you already know what's going to happen when you already have the script. When you already know, the first set, the second set, third set. You're not going to be surprised when something takes place. It says, "Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Right? Because they could try to use this to make it seem like a second coming of who they call Jesus Christ. All of these things, man. Whatever. Remember, this devil is at his end, so he's going to use, as it says, all signs and all types of lying wonders, right? He's going to use everything at his disposal to try to deceive the world and even the elect. And as the Lord said, if it were possible, it would be so believable that the elect would believe it, but the elect are not going to believe it because the elect hang their faith on the word of the Lord, not on what this devil is saying. So yeah, that's it. That's all I had.
Yeah, I was going to say too that a big part of their deception they're going to be trying to use is that so-called Project Bluebeam, right? So that's something to look out for, especially now. All of a sudden, like Zaquan, you said, what's the reason why all of a sudden they want to, reveal all these so-called UFO files? Like it's just like very interesting timing, right? It's all part of the putting in so much information where people are overwhelmed. They don't even know what to look at, where to look to. That's all part of Albert Pike's plan, right? About how the people are going to be so overwhelmed with the shit that's going to be going on, where they're not going to know where to render their adoration, right? So all that Project Bluebeam, all these UFO files is all, especially DJ Vance using the terminology, all demons, right? It's you're starting to steer into the realm of good and evil, heavenly versus wicked, that kind of thing. So that's all biblical stuff. So now they start to shift attention. You got all this Trump stuff, depicting himself to be the chosen one and all these different things, God manifests, all this bullshit, right? So these are all things that they're doing. Oh, we're going to the Third World War to usher in the return of the Messiah, and we're going to Armageddon. They're not using, Hinduism to push these things. They're not using Judaism to push these things. They're not using Islam they're using Christianity. They're using the power of so-called Christianity, all right, to bring about these things. So, it's very interesting. They called in these pastors, all right, I forget where they took them to go talk about these so-called UFO files being revealed and how they're going to teach it to the church. We're going to be sitting right here watching to see what they're going to say, and then we're going to tell the truth about it, because it's all going to be BS anyway. It's all going to be lies and BS anyway. All right, so we're going to be sitting right here as the sentinels, as the watchmen, and we're going to be watching everything, decoding everything they're putting out there, man. All right, because we're not here to mislead people like they do it. All right, but y'all brothers got it. I just want to say that quick point.
Yeah, Khan, you mentioned something about that in the vision in Ezra had, right, in Second Ezra 13, and it says in 13 and 33, and when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one with another. And that lets us know that when Yahushua returns, they're already going to be at war. So it's interesting that now that you already have the beginning stages of this war with Iran and the US and these other nations getting involved, they're talking about France and other European nations colliding together to come over there in an operation to open the strait. As you have that developing, they're now releasing, these files. And like the Zaquan was saying, they were saying that what they released today is really just like a drop in the bucket, and like the holy crap moment hasn't even come yet. Meaning that there are certain things in there in those files that when the public sees, it's going to be like, fear, intrigue, all of these things at once. And I was saying there in a lesson I did that a part of what they do with that is to muddy the waters on what the truth actually is, because even when they were discrediting the proof of UFOs and extraterrestrial life and so on, there was still a whole bunch of theories about what they could be, where they're coming from, and so on and so forth. Are they real? Are they not? But now, with all this information coming out, there's going to be that much more rhetoric, not just from governments and the mainstream media, but from people themselves, which is going to be more voices as opposed to fewer voices, including ours, concerning what these really are. And this is priming the people. It's exposing their minds to this, like this Guan mentioned, about being ready to encounter some foreign threat, because that's how they're going to phrase it. They're not interested in phrasing the Lord's return as a pleasant visit. No, they're going to make it seem like this is a threat. This is an invasion, and we need to defend against it. That's how they show you in all these movies that they come up with. They always show the extraterrestrial visitors as some form of danger or threat, and that's true. Zechariah the 5th chapter talks about that. They are going to be a danger and a threat, because what you're doing here is wicked, and they're coming here to stop that. But obviously, Esau's not going to come out and say, yeah, I'm the wicked and that's the righteous, and they come in to actually set things in a good state. Hell no, he ain't going to say that. He's going to flip it upside down. Newsflash, when you watch a lot of these movies, sometimes the good guys are really the bad guys and the bad guys are really the good guys. When you actually listen to what these evil supervillains and these genius villains actually talk about in their plans for the world, it's like, yo, realistically, they got a point. You know what I'm saying? Realistically, they might be right. But from the perspective of how the story is written, you got to support the Professor Xavier's and so on and so forth. And yeah, no, those are the good guys. But when you look at what's really going on, you're like, no, it's flipped. And it's the same thing they're doing in this reality now. So it's going to be interesting to see what they end up releasing at the same time as they prime the people for all these things that are going on. And this is what the prophets saw, right? They saw pestilence. Yahweh Shah himself said it, right? After the wars and the statement of wars and rumors of wars, he mentioned earthquakes, famines, and pestilence in diverse places, right? Earthquakes in diverse places. And we're seeing all of those happening now. So really, a polycrisis is prophesied as part of Jacob's trouble in the scriptures. And when you read different verses by different prophets, some of them saw the intensity of different things, but it all culminates to the same time period. So that's why it's hell on earth. You brothers got it.
I just wanted to, Salaki, I got you, Ash, but I just wanted to add this right here. This came out, and then we've done videos on it before. This came out back in January of this year, where you had this former senior financial analyst of the Bank of England warned that official disclosure of alien life could trigger a severe financial crisis and potential economic collapse. Now, as Haram mentioned before about the Black Swans event, remember their ultimate goal is to transform the financial system, right, to a digital payment system, right, which is why we always speak about the MOTB, right? When you look in the scriptures, there's so many different prophecies and things and events that are major, but the scripture speaks about the mark of the beast for a reason, because that is going to categorically shift how people have been operating on the earth for generations when it comes to what the system is all about, right? Living in a buy sell market capitalistic society, everybody has already been their minds have been geared toward this is the way that you live, that you buy and sell, that you have to give in exchange of well, it used to be actual physical dollars, but now people swipe whatever. But that is a mindset that people have as a normal thing. And what these devils want is to be able to use that and weaponize that to bring in a system to where they actually have complete control over your ability to do so, and therefore have complete control over you. And this is why they speak about CBDCs or stable coins, not call it stable coins. It's the same thing, but they speak about these things that says that what it's trackable, right? It's programmable, right? It basically they'll be able to cut it off if you're not a loyal citizen. All these things. So the fact that they have these certain events coming up, and they have people like her saying that in a disclosure of an alien, quote unquote alien life would bring a severe financial crisis. That's exactly what they desire to happen, right? And a lot of people, they don't look at it like that. They don't make this correlation to this being that. They already know, right? They run these simulations. I believe it was what Project Looking Glass, where they have their left-handed whatever enchantments, whatever that they do, that they run a whole bunch of different types of simulations. They even showed you that in the Avengers movie with Doctor Strange, right? He was a sorcerer where he had the ability to run a bunch of different scenarios to find out what scenario would work. That's what these devils do, right? Doctor Strange is literally Esau, the high priest of Esau on the left hand side. right? Being using witchcraft and technology combined to create a certain outcome. But it says here, McCall believes that the United States is in a multi-year process of declassifying information about non-human intelligence. Now that's interesting as well, because she said this is a multi-year thing, but came back in January, and now we're here in May, and now they're about to just release everything. So that timeline got sped up very quickly. It says, which, if confirmed, would cause ontological shock, a sudden, deep shock to humanity's understanding of reality. Now, who else talked about shocking the system? Right? That was Klaus Schwab. You got to shock the system. It says impact, economic impact. She warns this could trigger massive market volatility, bank runs, a collapse of payment systems, and civil unrest as investors panic or lose confidence in traditional institutions and government-backed assets. And you already see how the market is not even connected to really, what was really going on in reality. It's already being manipulated, right? You got somebody that is being quote unquote investigated for being a insider, right? Who's been trading oil right before Trump makes some statement. So it's all manipulated. These devils are playing with people's mind, right, and their money. It says action urged. McCall wrote to the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey, urging the central bank to include alien disclosure as a serious, low probability, high impact scenario in its contingency planning and operational resilience framework. So I just wanted to bring this up because, once again, this information went, you asked, especially with Jake, but majority of Babylonians, period, probably never even heard of this person, probably never seen this article in any of this type of warning. But these are the things that these devils use and are going to actually implement on the earth, while majority of people are just out here being folly, being foolish, being blind. And this is why the scriptures tells you that the knowledge and wisdom and understanding is going to be a stability of thy time, right? Couple that with the faith of the Lord, because we are already ahead of the curve, because we're watching for these things. We already have the knowledge of this possibility, right? You have people that don't even know why gas is going up. Right? You have people that that are traveling, and they'll go check airline prices one week, and then the next week, why has it jumped so much? They have no clue what is actually taking place, and that's how you know that they're dead. When the Lord speaks about these people being dead, you see it in real life, right? That although they're alive and breathing, there's nothing up here. Their minds are dull. Okay, but you got it.
Just want to add on to what the brother Bukwal was saying about, Esau deceiving the people into supporting the wrong side over the righteous side. And, as he was talking, I actually thought of a video that I had posted, just a short clip. I don't know if we're able to play it. Is it possible to share it?
Yeah, you will have to share it. Can you share it from your end? You see where it says,
I can share it.
You got it. Okay.
All right. Just let me know if you can hear it.
Africa is a treaty member of the International Criminal Court. If Putin comes here in August as planned, your government will be obliged to arrest him. As head of the ANC, do you believe your government should and indeed will arrest Vladimir Putin?
If it was according to the ANC, we will want President Putin to be here even tomorrow.
You would?
To come to our country. But
you would welcome Vladimir Putin here right now?
Of course, we will welcome.
A man who is being investigated for war crimes by the International Criminal Court.
We will welcome him to come here as part and parcel of BRICS, but we know that we are constrained by the ICC in terms of doing that. Putin is a head of state. Do you think that a head of state can just be arrested anywhere? How many crimes have your country committed in Iraq? How many crimes have everyone else who's so vocal today committed in Iraq and Afghanistan? Have you arrested them? You
know the impact that
You're
this stand
making
of
a
yours...
lot of noise about putting in state of working for peace between Ukraine and Russia, and you failed to resolve the war. Where are the weapons of mass destruction? Tony Blair went to Iraq and claimed that they are weapons of mass destruction. Did we see anybody standing against that in the United Kingdom and Britain? More than millions of people have died in Iraq and Afghanistan, and there are no weapons of mass destruction. We know what the war is about.
Mr. Secretary General,
between Russia and Ukraine. We want peace. That's what.
Yeah, and that's the shame, in his eyes right there. And this is something that, these Edomites, they like to do very often. They spin the narrative, and it's so obvious, right? But people don't really understand how wicked they really are. And, people mistake Esau's, I guess, his drive to keep peace as the best interest of the people. But really what he's saying, like even Zaquan, you said it, is they're controlling. They're increasing control, and they want to maintain the system that allows them to be wicked. That's why all these things come out. And I always keep bringing out these Epstein files because these men were fucking wicked over there. And even all the things that they do is very wicked. That's all they do constantly, wickedness. And the system that they have created, that's in place right now, allows them to do it with impunity. And people are just out here, and they, when news like this come out, they look at Yahweh Shai coming in, and they say, oh, he has no authority over it. He ain't supposed to be over here. We don't welcome him. And that is a narrative that Esau pushed on them. But when you actually, go into it and you open your mind and you quicken your spirit, right, from being a dead state into a living being, then you truly see the world for what it really is, and that this man is really wicked. And on the point that you've been brought out, Zaquan, is that the Lord has taken, he stopped them from really seeing the truth, right, because of their wickedness. And even in the book of Job, I have here the 37th chapter, it talks about how sometimes one of the Lord's judgment is that when he kills you, he makes sure you die without knowledge. And that's part of the judgment also. So we're really seeing the works of the Lord being made, I guess, fruitful, whether people like it or not. And the idea that Esau is the righteous man is just so ridiculous that when they finally get resurrected in the kingdom, I'm wondering, like, how are they gonna react when they actually find out that they were actually on this devil's side? It's gonna be amazing to witness the reaction of these heathens. But yeah, all the movies that they show you, it's all about the protagonist maintaining a world that's wicked. The protagonist want to change it. He sees 9 times out of 10, he's actually, you're right, because he's very reasonable. He actually wants vengeance. That's what it is. He wants vengeance and justice, but nobody's giving it to him. They're telling him, oh, forget about the past and heal. No, fuck that. Nobody want that shit. You let me do it to you, and then you show me how it is to heal and forget about it. And that's what these Edomites want to do. They want you to forget about it and praise him and be, oh yeah. Because I see Edomites and podcasts and all these things, and I hear and they talk about how good colonization is and the conquest and the slavery is because they brought education. Like they invented education. They throw all these kind of stupid shit around just so to justify what they did to us, so that we will say, oh, okay, well, I guess we can heal from it. As long as he gave us this, we can heal for it. He gives us subsidies, food stamps for blood. He kills millions of people, and then he gives food stamps, and then that's supposed to be okay? Yo, and you people are out of your goddamn minds, man, for supporting Esau, and that's why Yahweh Shai is going to have to deal with you too, just like he does with him, right? That's why Yahweh Shai made no distinction. Ye are your father, the devil. And whatsoever just like he is, you are, because you are indifferent from him. You are so caught up, you have your head so far up his ass that you can't even hear anything else anybody is saying, So that's it on that.
Yeah. Oh, you got something? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I got a quick precept here on what you were mentioning, Ayash, because going back to Esau's deception, I forgot who said it, but they said you tell a big enough lie often enough, people will start to believe that it is true, right? And that's what Esau does. So changing the world upside down through mainly heavily through the Renaissance period, right? It's interesting that they called it, of all names and titles, they gave it the rebirth, right? The Renaissance period. And when you look at how the world changed through then, really things that were coded as new inventions and new ways to go about. When in Granada, Spain, you had Edomites that came up into power and they took over everything the Moors, which are Israelites, had done and advanced, and then they called it theirs. They started whitewashing everything, and then they said, "Look at all the things we've done." No, it's not all the things you've done. When you read about the history, they said that there were certain places in Europe where the Edomites dwelt, where the streets that you would walk in was like you would be damn near close to knees deep in feces. Like it was just garbage and disgusting everywhere in their area. And they came up into power, and then they used deception to say, look at all the things we've done and how advanced of a civilization we are. But the main thing they've done is they have deceived the world to hate the Lord. And the scriptures say, which I have it here, Proverbs 8, and I actually start at 34. It says, blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whosoever findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death. See, so what he has done is he has controlled the minds of people, and especially by playing on irrational behaviors, right? They're human tendencies that are 100% irrational. There's actually a whole book on it, and marketers and so on and so forth, they use that to control people's minds. Esau has found what makes you tick. He experiments on people, and he finds those little nooks and crannies, and then he spins it, you know what I'm saying? And he uses it in a way where he can quite literally mind control people to hate the Lord and eventually breed a world of death. If you want to know how to fix most of the problems in this world today, revert back to what the Lord put in the scriptures as to what you should and shouldn't do. If you look at what the Lord said you shouldn't do, and you look at what's permitted in today's society, you'll see these two parallels that are really one line. And that's what's causing all of this here. So really, the Lord allowing the world to get like this was giving us the answer to the why, right? He told us, do this, don't do this, don't do this. But Jake wants to know why. You're curious. You want to find out why? This captivity is the why you shouldn't disobey the Lord. And by the time we get to the kingdom, because that's the one, you know how they say the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, why. By the time we get to the kingdom, we're going to have all 5, like the infinity stones. And the why is the most important, because the why is what brings understanding. You can tell somebody what, who, when, where, but if they don't understand why, that's why when you speak about why, it's mainly understand. That's the question. Oh, why this? Why that? Why this? And once you tell them, they react, oh, okay, I see why, or I understand why. So when we get to the kingdom, we're going to know exactly why you shouldn't be committing adultery, why you should be implementing this, why you should be implementing that. And in that case, we won't go off anymore because there's nothing to be curious about. The gravest form of wickedness that even King Solomon was curious about, we've experienced here, and we see that we hate it. So we don't want to come to this side anymore. So in the kingdom, we're going to be grateful to the Lord that we cannot even cross back over to this side. And every time we see Esau, Edom, we're going to remember the why and the wickedness that he has done, and he's going to pay for that vengeance. And every time he sees us, he's going to know exactly what we're thinking, and he's going to be in even more trouble. When we speak about the good things, we're going to remember the bad. And when we remember the bad, them Edomites around us are going to remember the bad too. Yeah, you guys got. I mean, you guys are quiet. I think you guys are.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, and I was just wanted to bring out this precept here in Isaiah 28, verse start at 12, and I'll probably jump. It says, to whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. Right. And this is why the Lord, has constantly through his spirit and power, put the spirit into the prophets' mouths to constantly been given this message, right? It's the same rhetoric, it's the same message over and over and over again, even from before this age, to Israel to repent, to seek the Lord, to leave off from your iniquity. because the wrath of the Lord is going to come, right? Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter, the Lord is merciful and he's compassionate and he's long suffering because he is allowing a time frame, right? Before the hell comes, there is a long time frame, a buffer zone of a compassion. And the Lord uses this buffer zone to send his prophets out to tell you to repent, to tell you to turn back, to tell you to leave off from the following the ways of the wicked, the ways of the heathen. You see, all of our transgressions from the beginning was all tied to what? Following the heathen's ways, following that's why the laws, brothers always mention, a lot, if not majority of the laws are literally a direct, don't do this because this is what the heathens are doing. This is what they were doing in Egypt. This is what the Lord hates. Because the scriptures tells you that the Lord did not give his word to the nations, right? He showed up his word unto Jacob. He showed up his word unto Jacob and his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. With the other nations, he has not dealt so. So they're living a way that, which is why they're known as beasts. They're living a way that is just, unruly. But the Lord gave us the knowledge of life, gave us the fountain of wisdom, which starts with his fear. And when you fear the Lord, you do what? You keep his commandments to the best of your ability, even though we can't, which is why Yahweh sent Yahushai so that we can have, just the faith in the Lord, and Yahushai covers us. But you have our people that don't want to hearken unto that. And yet they still complain about the conditions of the world, right? They want to complain about Trump, then they complain about Biden, they complain about this, but they don't want to actually change. They still want to stay in Egypt. It's like Jake was crying, and it happened in Egypt, right? They were complaining, sighing, crying because of the labor. Then the Lord sent a deliverer, and they're like, nah, we want to stay in Egypt. So you just want to stay in Egypt and complain. And that's the worst thing. That's the worst type of nigga. Like you don't want to you want to complain, but not change the situation, or not even desire to change the situation. You see, but our people have become homeborn slaves, and the Lord is not coming, to redeem that type of mentality. He's coming to redeem those that, as the disciples actually, Hawashai, are you going to restore the kingdom back into Israel? Because that's when Israel gets the kingdom through Yahushua, the earth is at rest, everything is at peace. The weary and everything is in order. But reading on, it says, but the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. You see, and this is the mindset that our people have. Oh, you can keep bringing out the same scriptures. Yeah, all you need is the same. All you need is the scriptures. You don't need something else. You don't need. The scriptures tells you that none shall want her mate. But Jake want to go into the book of the dead. They want to try to find the book of Jasper and all these other books. But here it is. They can't even follow what is the word of the Lord, right? So it says, wherefore hear the word, O Salakia. Wherefore hear the word of the Lord, ye scornful men that rule this people which is in Jerusalem, because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood we have hid ourselves. And that's the trap, and that's the snare that these people are about to find themselves in, because they think that being assimilated, right? Even the northern tribe, right? Being assimilated into America and trying to be a upstanding, or not to say they shouldn't be a good quote unquote citizen, but your mind frame and your spirit is to be accepted into this society. Well, in order to be accepted into this society and to be assimilated, you have to ask yourself, what are the values and the standards that this society upholds, right? What are the things that this society deems good? And when you look at that, you see that it's everything that goes against the righteousness of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. It literally is adverse to the Lord. And the Lord used the basis of man, right? The worst of the heathen, to be at the top and then put out this mindset of this is what is Trump was talking about. when he cursed out the nigga woman ABC anchor. He was like, our nation represents perfectness and beauty and clean. He said you may know what dirt is, but I don't. I don't know what dirt. I'm like, there's literally a whole bunch of information on him having very bad odor. Like they said that his odor is like horrendous. But here it is. He can say that, oh, you may know what dirt is, but I don't. But you see, when people look at these people, they look at them because they're on top right now. They got money. And that's what to them, oh, that means that they are, they're wise or they're successful, all these things. But the mindset that they carry is filth. The mindset that they carry is satanic. And then when you make your alignment with them, you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna bypass the scourge, the overflowing scourge that's gonna come. But you making a covenant with death. You can't bypass death by making a covenant with death. The Lord said, I think you read it, I don't know if you did, Bakar, that all they that hate me love death. And you show that you hate the Lord by aligning yourself with this world. Did not James say, he that is an enemy, he that is a friend to this world is an enemy to the Most High? So how can you be both? How can you uphold this world and think that something in this life is to be, valued, but at the same time say that you actually, love the God of the Bible? But whatever God you're talking about is not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When this is what we're here to tell you. Yeah, but that's it.
I've got a precept, and a homeborn slave is like, it's really bad. That's like no ambition, born into it, all you know, all you ever will know, but you don't know how miserable that even is to you. Like if someone was free and was captured and put into slavery, at least he yearns for freedom, But a homeborn slave is just a whole different tier, But I have here in the book of Job, chapter 38, verse 6, it says, He preserveth not the life of the wicked, but giveth right to the poor. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on thrones. Yea, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters and holden in cords of affliction, then he showeth them their work and their transgression, that they have exceeded. So, to your point, how the Lord is put us here, so we may know the why, so we are learning all these things so that we understand what the true judgment of the Lord really truly is. It says, if they be bound in fetters, captivity, and be holden in cords of affliction, then he showeth them their works and their transgression, that they have exceeded. He openeth their ear to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. And if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. Right. So this is pretty much, a precept to back up your point. But hey, man, love death and making covenant with death. Death is what's the worst form of? I don't know, but I don't know if brothers can help me out here. But with someone that's like difficult to bargain with, like whatever you say, they ain't like stubborn. In other words, it does not discriminate. You cannot, when death is coming, you can't tell death you turn your ass back or go to someone else. Nah, death is not like it. It does not. When it's coming for your ass, you are dead. That's it. Ain't no way around it unless the Lord really is with you. So that's pretty much a precept that I wanted to bring out. Brothers got it. Non-negotiable. Yeah, Thwada Ashia. Death is non-negotiable.
And that's a lesson right there. Hey, but for us through Yahushua, we don't got to negotiate with death. And that's the beauty of the Lord having, the keys to hell and death. You see, because Yahushua defeated death, and this is the times, right? The hell on earth and the things that we're going to be, through the spirit and power of Yahushua, those that the Lord has, destined to survive and endure into the end and not taste of death. They're going to be in the midst of death, just like how the three holy children was in fire. That fire was supposed to be death to them. They were supposed to die there, but yet it wasn't even a thought, right? Once they was there, it wasn't even a thought like, oh, we're going to die. They knew at that point, like, yo, I think there was a scripture. Let me go to it real quick. And the three, where is it at? Prayer of Azariah. 1 and 66. It says, O Ananias, O Azarias, O Misael, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. For he hath delivered us from hell and saved us from the hand of death and delivered us out of the midst of the furnace and burning flame, even out of the midst of the fire hath he delivered us. See, and this is, really a prelude to what the Lord is going to do for us, literally, right? Us being delivered out, was that Zechariah was that 13 and 8, that the third part shall be taken up out of the fire. That's what the Lord is going to do for us. America is going to be turned into a furnace, and he is going to deliver us out of the fire. Okay, but even before that, the hell, the different calamities, the viruses, the sword, all of these different things is going to be death, right? I believe in Psalms 91, it tells you that it shall not come nigh into our dwelling, right? 10,000 fall at thy side, 1,000 at thy right hand, 10,000 at thy side, if it shall not come nigh unto thee. What is not going to come nigh unto thee? Death. So hell is what is hell associated with? It's the grave. What is the grave associated with death? Which is why you see hell and death always synonymous in the scriptures. I believe also in Revelation 6, I had this queued up, so let me just pull it. Revelation 6 and 8, it says, and I looked and beheld a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Now, who is this also synonymous with? Esau. Because in Habakkuk, it said he has enlarged himself as the hell and as death, and he cannot be satisfied. Right? So this spirit that Esau brings is the spirit of death. And it's in every form or fashion that you see it, it's there. Right? The foods, I just seen something popped up where you had I think it's phosphorite in certain foods, which is known to cause it's like a poison that they're putting in food that can cause, cancer. And these foods, the way that they market it, they use certain colors, whether it be yellow or red, which, pops out to, kids. And then you have the kids, well, mommy, I want this. And they have a little cartoon to make it all funny and all that. But really, what are they actually serving you? It's literally death. They're serving you poison, but it makes it, appear to be something that is harmless. So he presents death in every fashion. Everything. We talk about the water and plastic, and the list goes on and on and on. But then here it is. They'll talk about the quote unquote UFOs as being right an international threat. Nigga, you are the international threat. You are the threat. That's why you have a lot of people that make a joke, but is it really a joke? They say, oh, I just want the aliens to come and take me. Yo, come take me out of here. Beam me up. Get me off of this rock. Why are you saying that? It's because who you got ruling right now. You got the man of sin, the son of perdition ruling. So they want to be taken away from his thumb. But reading back, it says, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, which is Babylon, America, to kill the sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. And that's what, you see the sword, right? The wars. You see the hunger. They talking about, when you go into that word hunger here, it says a scarcity of food. So that's already taken place with the whole fertilization shortage, right? The uptick in the prices of food. They locking up food. People taking videos of going to the grocery store and seeing a pack of ground beef for $55. And he's like, yo, what is this? They don't even consider even buying it because it's like, yo, there's no reason to buy this right now. But yet, here it is. This Trump and not even him, but the Esau in general. They'll boast about, we got the greatest nation on the earth. This devil said, Trump said his old IRA 401k thing that he's making. He said about time a 21-year-old gets to 65, they'll have $465,000 in their account. And he was like, in other words, they'll be rich. And I'm like, yo. Imagine if I was like, this devil dropped all his money down to $465,000. Would you consider yourself rich, nigga? No. He'll probably kill himself. And in 40 years, right, from 21 to 65, for 44 years, how much money you think $465,000 is going to be worth? You can't even buy a house right now, and with that much amount of money. So how you going to say that they're rich? But this is how this devil plays on the minds of the people, man. Because they know, like, oh, they hear hundreds of thousands, they think of that being rich. You see? But yeah, that's all I had for that. Any brother got any last precepts?
Oh no, I'm getting no pre.
Now you
Yeah,
guys
I
want to
had.
say? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, they have this habit of, telling people to embrace hell, right? Like, I think that the video that you sent with the dude when he lost his Bitcoin, he had all millions of dollars. He lost his password to his Bitcoin, and the dude he's crying like a little child, grown ass man, Edomite, but when if Jake was to come up and say, "Oh man, I'm living in hell, America's hell on to me, I don't got shit," he gonna tell him, "Nah, bro, pick yourself up, your bootstrap." Gonna say some dumb shit like that. They're unsympathetic to the poor people, but if they should ever be poor, it is the worst thing that they could ever endure. And it's like, everybody should hear their story because they are poor, they don't have anything. But if they had it and people were poor and people said, "Oh, yo, we're poor, be righteous," they couldn't give a shit. And that's the hypocrisy that scripture talks about. He pretends, but when you dig deeper, like even Yahushua said, he said, sometimes if he said to I forgot which specific church, but when they find out the liars, when you probe and you go into the word of the Lord and you're able to discern someone's true character, he counts it as a good thing. We ought to have that ability. And the scriptures, coupled with the spirit that allows us to receive the scriptures, allows us, right, gives us the ability to really discern this man's spirit and see who he truly is when others just can't. And that's pretty much it on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this out because, for those of you out there watching of the Household of Faith, you know that we bring out these prophetic videos and these prophetic lessons about hell and destruction and these things. And that is to instill fear in you so that you can fear the Lord and come into the strong tower of protection, which is his name. Not for you to just be paralyzed by fear, but the fear of the Lord is supposed to inspire you and move you to have a certain conduct. Okay. So we don't just talk about these things just as, leave you with no hope. All right. There is hope, and the hope is in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, but we have to mention these things. All right. And this is all a part of our hope because seeing these signs is a part of it. Is all a part of the signs of his return. But I got this right here. All right. Job 5:19. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. Okay, so 7 represents what? Completion. So complete deliverance from the evil times to come. So no matter what they're doing, you don't see us panicking. And the fact that you see our demeanor and the character that the Lord instilled in us and the faith that the Lord instilled in us, that should inspire faith within you that are watching. Because we know about these judgments. We know about these calamities that are coming, but we're not afraid of them because our fear is directed towards the Lord, man. All right. Job 5:20. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. And is that not things that's been spoken about in this lesson and other lessons? Okay. And famine will be redeemed from death. All right. The Lord's servants will eat. So we're not panicking. We're not over here trying to doomsday prep, Not to say if brothers can't go and get some extra food. I mean, that's wisdom at the end of the day. But for many of us, that won't be possible. So what do we have to do? Trust in the Lord. All right. It says here, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. You see? So we're not afraid. All of the things, the lies that we said that they're going to aim at us, we're not afraid of those things because we know the Lord has us, man. So what it turns to is us reflecting on our own actions instead of saying, oh, man, look what Esau doing. Look what the white man is doing. We look at ourselves and examine ourselves and say, man, how can I be more on point to serve the Lord? Because that's going to be what defines whether we make it or not, is whether we were sincere in our service to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Ultimately, it's through election. All right, and faith without works is dead. So we examine ourselves so that Lord's will, when that day comes, that we can be taken up. Because yes, it is by faith, all right, and it is by selection from on high, but with all those things, there will be actions that comes with it. So we examine ourselves to see whether we be Lord's will of that number. All right, and this is the last verse, and I'll pass it. Job 5:22. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shall thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. You see, destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. You see us joking and jesting about what's going on because it doesn't instill fear in us. What Esau's doing, the Lord gave us such a beautiful gift of faith to where we know that thermonuclear missiles, the greatest destruction that's ever been witnessed, is about to come on the land that we live on. All right. We currently live on this land in America, Babylon the Great, and we know that destruction is coming, and we joke and we laugh about it. All right. Not saying that we make light of the judgment of the Lord, but we can do that because we know that the joke is going to be on these people. All right. And not on the Lord's elect, the ones that are faithful towards him. And we pray and hope for that mercy, and we pray and hope for that deliverance, because that's really all we have at the end of the day. But that's it.
Hey, Khan, beautiful. So, that will close it out, Lord willing. This is edifying unto the elect. In closing, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. And until next time, shalom unto the elect.